Alrighty, y'all. Haven't seen one of these on this channel in quite a while, but I'm gonna try my best to make some sort of a positive Phoenix Suns video. The title of this video is, can the Suns make one final run? Short answer, I think the answer is probably no. But if you were ever going to start a run, even with what I think is one of the worst constructed rosters in basketball and a absolutely handicapped future, a win like tonight's win is how you do it. A game where you were down 23, looked dead in the water, season is over, and you come back in a huge way in the fourth quarter, outscore them by 21 down the stretch, and undo a 19-point game at the end of the third quarter to win. That is the type of win that has the potential to be a little bit of a boosting point for this team. Maybe give them a little bit of confidence, give them a little bit of cohesiveness, maybe a little bit of togetherness, and maybe, who knows, maybe they might have one more run in them. Do I think that's realistic? Honestly, no. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. But tonight's game was an impressive level of resilience and fight from a Suns team that I honestly did not expect to see that from. Mason Plumlee, plus 19, plays great in the fourth quarter. Colin freaking Gillespie played 15 minutes. Almost all of them were in the fourth quarter, though. Scores all 10 of his points in the fourth quarter, 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, fighting on the defensive end of the court, 3 assists, no turnovers, a plus 21. He was awesome. Kevin Durant was the only starter in positive plus minus as well, had 19 in the fourth quarter of his own, 34. Another guy who really played well down the stretch. And I just think they had some fight in them tonight that I didn't really expect to see. You see the scoreboard. Honestly, I was streaming on my 2K channel and I look at my phone and see the score and I'm just like, oh yeah, Suns are done for. It's over. They were down like 20 when I checked the score. Look back at my phone as soon as I end stream and I see there's 2 minutes left in the game and they're up by 2. I was like, what? Huh? So I only watched the last 2 minutes of this game. I didn't see the game, but impressively resilient win, and pretty shocking in all honesty, considering how much of a disaster things have been in Phoenix as of late. Since being 25 and 22, they are 4 and 11 in their last 15 games. Even after tonight's win, they were 3 and 11 in their last 14 before tonight. And the biggest problem that this team has, and it's a very serious problem, is that they have the hardest schedule left in basketball. And so really right here, with how bad they've been playing as a whole, and with how tough their schedule is for the rest of the season, significantly harder than any other team in basketball, they're probably still in real trouble. But I'm going to try my best to look for an angle in this video on how things could maybe get better. I mean, yeah, I will say, as much as this schedule is loaded, Memphis has struggled a little bit at times as of late. Houston kind of has too. Dallas is a disaster at this point. Denver's going to be tough. Sacramento's beatable but tough. The Lakers look awesome. Toronto's beatable. Chicago's beatable. Milwaukee's beatable-ish. Cleveland and Boston, you're probably getting killed. Minnesota, I don't know. Houston, I don't know. Milwaukee, again, I don't know. Boston, probably getting killed. New York, kind of winnable with how they've been struggling. Golden State, probably a loss. OKC, probably a loss. And then a couple games to end the season with San Antonio and Sacramento. The realistic truth is, considering where they are in the standings right now, they're the 11 seed. They're 3 games back of the play-in entirely. They're going to have to find a way with what? Having played 62 games. They got 20 to go. They're going to have to go like 12 and 8-ish. I think 500 would get them in the play-in. But then they'd have to win 2 games in the play-in too. The only thing that they have going for them at this point is the fact that the Mavericks season is entirely over, with Kyrie Irving having torn his ACL, and apparently Anthony Davis is probably going to get shut down soon too. So the 10 seed is wide open in the West. The Clippers struggles in their own right, having lost 6 of their last 7 and playing terrible basketball in their own right, is another real thing as well. Like, they actually kind of have a path somehow, some way, to not only making the play-in, but maybe having a chance to theoretically get out of it. Because this looks like a play-in situation where maybe you have Minnesota versus Sacramento in the first game, and then you have maybe the Clippers versus Suns in the second game. Suns could absolutely win that game. And then they play winner or loser of Timberwolves Kings. They could beat the Kings. I believe it. Do I think the Timberwolves have their number? 100%. Is Ant going to drop 45 on their heads? Yeah, they don't defend. But they could beat the Kings. Like, they could find a way to squeak into the playoffs. And as much as this team, I think, is terribly orchestrated, they're not cohesive. I don't think they like each other. They have no real chemistry as a team. Mike Budenholzer has not been a successful coach. I mean, he's been beefing with Nurkic before they traded him. Now it seems like he's beefing with KD. Every rumor and report that comes out of Phoenix is basically just negative at this point, talking about KD's probably going to leave this summer and all these different things, and I'll probably get traded. And that's just a disaster. And yet, if it was ever going to turn positive, this is kind of the last opportunity. And that's really what I'm saying more than anything else. Not that I actually think that it's going to turn around at this point. If it's ever going to, it's going to have to be right now, though. And look, at the end of the day, I will say this. A team with a 26 point per game score in Devin Booker as your second best player even despite his inefficiency this season. If he can go on a heater and be a 30-point per game guy for the next 20 games, they could win 12 of those 20, 100%. Kevin Durant, same story. 26.7 points per game. High level, versatile scorer, still incredibly talented, still incredibly good. And I mean, look, they don't have great chemistry. Their big man duo of Nick Richards and Plumlee, in my opinion, is mediocre at best. Royce O'Neal is fine and a highly efficient shooter, as is Grayson Allen. But in all honesty, defensively, they're bad. They don't have really that elite level perimeter defender on the entire roster, in all honesty, at this point, besides Ryan Dunn, who just can't shoot. Like, I just don't know at this point what this team has left in the tank. Maybe Colin Gillespie is going to get some real point guard minutes now after tonight's performance. He kind of deserves them. He played himself into some sort of role tonight, and with the defensive intensity and the effort and the efficiency with which he played on the offensive end of the court. I mean, he was a 4-year really good guy at Villanova in college for a reason. And guys like that, even if they're undersized white dudes, sometimes have the ability to make things happen in the NBA. It's cool to see him finally get an opportunity. Bull's actually been pretty good as of late too. His efficiency hasn't been bad at all this year. I mean, he's 74% from 2-point range, which is insane. He's actually been pretty solid in his own right as of late, playing pretty good basketball. Look, do I think there's a path towards this team winning anything? No. I think if they make the playoffs, they're probably getting stopped. Would I like to see them make one last run with a talent like Kevin Durant and a talent like Devin Booker on the roster? Yes. And I think I feel bad for Suns fans, or at least I did. As a Mavs fan, it's hard to feel bad for anybody else, to be honest, when it comes to basketball. But hey, their future is bleak. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about that at this point, unless miracles happen and shocking changes of events happen. Their future looks extremely bleak with the lack of draft assets they have, the lack of young talent. I mean, Devin Booker and Durant are their only 2 tradable assets, and those are kind of Booker's kind of the heart and soul of the city in a lot of ways, and Durant doesn't have the trade value he once did even a couple of years ago. I mean, you can get real stuff for him still, but it's not going to be the same type of package that you'd expect in the past. Like, at the end of the day, this is a tough situation. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But tonight was a level of resiliency that I just did not expect to see from this team. I didn't know they had them in them. And I mean, they've been good before. They've played good basketball before. They have had some really nice stretches. Even this year, to start the year, last year, they looked really good. Everybody was predicting them to beat Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs last year. Like, people forget a season ago at this point, people thought that the Suns were championship contenders, even with all the struggles. So who knows? Maybe they got one more run in them. Maybe they'll be competitive. Maybe they'll give themselves a chance to make the playoffs and be competitive in the playoffs. Who knows? Crazier things have happened, especially when you have talents like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant on the roster. So we will see what happens. I wanted to make some sort of video on the Suns, though, that wasn't just completely bashing them for their poor decisions and lack of cohesiveness and chemistry and stuff. And I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.